Till now we have studied how a particle moves and what we described as kinematics, a description of motion. Now today and in the next series of 3 or 4 lectures, we will look at what are called the laws of motion, and the question which we will try to answer is, what governs the motion of a body? And to understand this, the first thing which we do is we need to introduce the concept of force. Now, if we try to define force, I think we will be going in round and round circles. Maybe we will use some words to define force, but if we look at it, what we can say is that force is a quantitative measure of mechanical interaction of material bodies. That means, if we have two bodies and they interact with each other, then they interact with each other through a quantity called force. And one thing we realize, which we observe in nature, is this force could ensue between bodies, either when the bodies are in contact, or in some cases force could also be there if the body, even if the bodies are not at contact, or they are not touching, then force could be conveyed through a distance. And we will look at examples of all these things, but just to illustrate, if I touch the table and if I touch it, I feel a force on my hand, and similarly a force is being applied on the table by my hand. And if I take an object and if I drop it, then the object is moving and the earth is applying a force on this object, even though there is no contact between the earth and this object. So therefore, in both the situations, whether there is a contact or there is no contact, if there are two bodies which are interacting with each other, there could be a force between these two bodies. And throughout our this series, when we talk about force and laws of motion, we will see how do we quantify this sort of interaction between bodies. And we will see that these interactions are quantified through some laws, and those laws are what we will study during the course of these series of lectures. Let us try to characterize some properties of force. So, first thing what we realize is that force is a quantity which has a magnitude And this is obvious from the fact that if I press the table lightly or if I press the table very hard, I feel a different sensation on my hand. So therefore, in one case the force is less, in the other case the force is more. So it has a magnitude. But not only does it have a magnitude, it also it has a magnitude and it also has a sense of direction. So, and as we have seen that quantities which have a magnitude as well as a direction, these quantities are referred to as vector, and Also what we had described earlier when we talked about these, every quantity which has a magnitude and direction need not be a vector, but vectors have some other properties. For example, vectors follow parallelogram law of addition or the triangle law of addition, and also they transform according to a particular relation. And what we find is that force does follow these laws. So, force is a vector quantity. That means it will, if two forces have to be added, there will be two forces with different directions, and the addition will follow the parallelogram law of addition, or you could use the triangle law of addition, which is equivalent. So, what we do is we represent force by an arrow. The length of the arrow is proportional